Hello everyone, JOMA just got a massive update with a bunch of new content, including 3 new survivors, a massive overhaul to one of the game's older maps, and a huge update to the deathwatch boss fight, which now has multiple phases with some insane attacks. So I wanted to quickly make a video going over all the new content in this update and give some of my thoughts and opinions to all of you. So let's get started. Definitely what excited me the most about this update was the introduction of the 3 new survivors, Heommancer, Doctor, and the Assistant. I'll start by talking about the one that I was most excited for, the Heommancer. This character by far is the most complicated character in the game, so I'm going to try to summarize her kit a little bit, otherwise this would be an hour-long video. The Heommancer's abilities all revolve around her main currency, which is her max HP. She starts at 80 HP, but can gain max health by using Drain or Transfusion on an enemy, which can get you up to a maximum of 125 HP. But by spending 30 max HP, you can summon your minion, the Blood Golem, and by spending another 30 max HP, you can upgrade it into a Blood Host, which is a much stronger version of the Blood Golem with an extra ranged ability. Unlike this disgrace of an adversary, the Heommancer's minion actually requires you to be close to the killer for it to attack, otherwise it will just run away. This makes for much more interactive gameplay than the aforementioned disgrace of an adversary. Also, you are able to heal an ally or your minion with Transfusion, which drains your normal HP, but heals them fairly quickly. So basically, the Heommancer is a survivor centered around siphoning health from killers, summoning powerful minions to protect you and your teammates, while also being a sort of healer for your teammates if you need to be. This is like some League of Legends level kit design right here. I can say for sure this character is definitely extremely hard to play, because you will often be on super low max health if the adversaries keep killing your Blood Golem. I can't count the amount of times I've been one-shot because I got greedy with my max health being in the single digits. It's safe to say that it will take a bit of time to see if this character is actually super strong or not, because all the numbers say that she has the potential to be insanely strong, but in reality, she often just gets steamrolled. This will probably change once players get better at her though, because it has only been a few days since the update. Also, she is still a super fun character despite how hard she is to play. I'll save all my balancing talk for later because I clearly don't have enough experience with the character yet to talk balance, so I'll move on to the next survivor. The Doctor is our next character, and compared to the Heommancer, this character is far more simple. They function as a much more standard healing class that is far more consistent. Their injectability can either be used to hit a killer, dealing damage and applying some pretty strong debuffs, or you can use it on teammates to heal them a total of 35 health over 20 seconds, while also giving them a boost to stamina and damage reduction. Your next ability is a medkit that you can use to heal a survivor up to 77 HP over the course of 14 seconds, after you apply the medkit, which only takes 4 seconds. You can also choose to heal yourself with a medkit, but it takes 6 seconds instead of 4, and only heals an instant 35 HP. Something interesting to note though is that you can actually run while using the medkit on yourself, or a teammate. This ability is a super strong tool for healing up single targets, and honestly might need a bit of a nerf, especially due to the fact that it's only on a 20-second cooldown. A major problem for me though is that the keybind for healing yourself with the medkit is on G, with no way to change it, which makes it incredibly difficult to run around while trying to heal yourself. Their last move, which is Wound, is kinda underwhelming and serves basically the same function as Inject, but without the ability to buff your teammates. So it just acts as another tool to help keep killers at bay while applying a few debuffs, but also has the added benefit of hitting 2 killers at once, so it's a tiny bit better at dealing with hordes. The character is pretty fun to play, and it's definitely always a good idea to have at least one of them on your team. But the medkit definitely needs some fixes, because it's gotten bugged for me quite a few times before. Alright, last and definitely not least, we have the Assistant, which compared to how it was previously, this character is far more interesting. The Assistant now has 2 ranged abilities it can swap between, Salvo and Restore. Salvo is a range attack that fires a few low damage lasers that heavily slow down the killer. However, this ability is almost completely useless, which I will talk about why soon. Their other ranged ability is Restore, and it is definitely the strongest healing ability in the game. The Assistant shoots out a healing orb that explodes on contact and heals all survivors inside for 10 HP instantly and 10 more HP over 5 seconds. Because this ability can hit an infinite amount of survivors in one blast, this ability is the best and only AoE option in the game. Plus, it also provides more single-target healing than just about every other single-target healing ability in the game. Now, the Assistant also has a melee attack called Piston that does a short dash that can be used twice in a row to deal extra damage and ragdoll the killer. The only problem is that due to the fact that it's super punishing if you miss and its very high energy cost, this move is basically cosmetic because it's never really worth using instead of Restore. Alright, let's talk about energy real quick. Energy is the currency that the assistant uses to use its abilities. Salvo takes 30% energy, Restore takes 25%, and Piston takes 35%. And if you need more energy, you need to stand still and use Recharge to get up to a maximum of 100%. This system works fine, but the main problem comes from the assistant's passive, which says your movement speed will scale from 75% to 100% depending on your energy percentage. This basically means that anytime you use any of your abilities that cost energy, you aren't just losing energy, but you're also losing speed. I'm sure most of you probably already know that speed is one of the most important stats in any aysm game. So if you are going to sacrifice that speed, the reward needs to be very strong, and well, Salvo and Piston are not very strong. In almost every single scenario, it will always be better to use Restore over all of your other abilities, because it is the only strong move that you actually have. There are a few ways you could go about fixing this, but I've honestly been talking about survivors for quite a while now, so I think it's about time I move on to something else. But first, I want to say that the redesign is far more interesting than the old assistant was, and it makes the gameplay much more fun. You just need to make using all the tools available to the assistant more worthwhile than just spamming Restore instead. Alright, now that we're done with the survivors, let's move on to the new map rework of Double Runes. This map is so much better than what we had before. Not just in the decoration department, which, let's be real here, it was not that hard to beat. It is also a large improvement in the actual map design. The main problem with the old version is that it was extremely annoying to play on because the middle section of the map was on a plateau that if you got knocked off of, would take a very long time to get back up. So survivors that held a defensive position up there were very strong because they could keep knocking off the killers to keep the area safe. In the new map, however, they added many more spots to get back up to the high ground, and also added several railings to prevent cheesing the killers by knocking them off. I only have like one complaint, and that is that the map is basically 100% symmetrical. This has the side effect of making areas feel less distinct, because you will find the exact same layout on the other side of the map, which can also lead to confusion in communication. But at least on the balancing side of things, the map seems pretty good so far. Alright, now on to one of the coolest parts about this update, and that is Artifactor Deathwatch. He is just a little bit different compared to the last time you saw him. Oh damn, it's targeting my... What the fuck?! Ah! Deathwatch now has 3 phases. The first phase is basically what the old fight was before the update, but once he reaches half HP, he will become invulnerable and start phase 2. In phase 2, you need to kill a total of 3 guilds all at once, while also dealing with undead that are constantly spawning all over the map. This phase isn't actually that bad, but if your numbers are somehow already low from phase 1, then it might be tough to kill the 3 guilds. But once you manage to finish the guilds off, Deathwatch enters his last and hardest phase. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, in Death Sentence, every survivor gets given a dash they can use by pressing spacebar, and in this phase, you're gonna learn very quickly why you got given a dash. Once the phase starts, all players get revived, so everyone that died in the first 2 phases gets brought back, which is a really nice feature by the way. Deathwatch has 4 new powerful attacks that he can use in this phase. His first attack, called Triple Breaker, is 3 extremely large ranged slashes that cross the whole map, with the first 2 being horizontal and the third one being vertical. If you're far enough away, you might be able to outrun the attack, but if you're anywhere close to Deathwatch, you will definitely need to use your dash iframes to avoid the attack. His next attack, called Dark Divider, will summon 6 lasers that will slowly swing up and try to hit you. Your best bet is to get behind cover because unlike the slashes, the lasers can't go through walls. But if you don't have any cover, your best bet is to just time your dash correctly as the laser is about to hit you to avoid taking damage. The third attack is Overbeamer. This move is a much stronger version of a move that Deathwatch uses in his first phase, but instead of only shooting a few beams, he shoots around 50 of them. And if you get hit by any of them, you are going to be silenced and inflicted with Break, meaning that the next hit you take will deal a lot more damage. Your best bet dodging this move is definitely to find some cover. Since the bombardment lasts so long, even if you dash to try and get out of the way, you will probably still get hit by at least a few beams. But if you get hit by a beam or 2, it's not that bad as long as you can wait out the debuffs. And for his final attack, the screen slowly goes dark and then freezes everyone on the map in place for a few seconds, then fires an AoE attack at everyone that you need to dodge using your dash, otherwise you will be taking a lot of damage. The last thing that is important to mention is that the large yellow bar that is right underneath his health indicates when he can't use his abilities. Once the bar fills up to full and starts draining down, that is your time to attack the boss, because he is on cooldown for a decent amount of time. Alright, now that's everything about Deathwatch. The only thing I didn't cover is his phase change attack, which is completely bugged and often screws you over and doesn't let you respawn, but that will hopefully be fixed soon. Overall, I think that the boss is fucking sick. The fact that we can have boss fights in an aysm game is insane to me. It definitely needs some optimization though, because the Overbeamer attack and move lock attacks both seem to lag Roblox quite a bit. Alright, so aside from a few skins and balance changes, this is all the new content that was added in this update. This is definitely a major JOMA W. But the game definitely needs some better testing before updates come out because I found my fair share of bugs with only 4 hours of playing the update. But yeah, thanks for watching, and be sure to leave your feedback on the update in the comments because the devs are always looking to improve the game based on the community's feedback. Alright, see you next time.